Next to the Capitol Extra, South Carolina right now is looking at two different pieces of legislation that could actually cut boat taxes by 50%. When you take a look at counties in neighboring states, their boat taxes tend to be up to 3 times less than what we pay here in South Carolina. Why in the world is that going on, and what is actually going to be going on at the State House to address this issue? We've got two guests with us today, people who are leading the charge right now to hopefully pull the anchor out of the water for boat buyers in South Carolina. We've got Representative Gary Brewer and Senator Stephen Goldfinch from both the House and the Senate. Guys, thanks so much. You both have bills right now in your respective chambers to begin to address the issue of boat taxes in South Carolina. Where are these bills right now, and why in the world are they stalled?
I can start. Dave, we had one subcommittee meeting on my bill in the Senate, and the counties showed up in full force. Every county auditor you could imagine showed up in opposition to this, screaming that they were going to lose revenue, screaming that they were going to have to raise taxes, which is just offensive to me. Number one, live within your means. But number two, if you can't live within your means, just believe in fundamental economics. Believe that when we lower the taxes, you're going to be bringing additional boats back to South Carolina to the tune of millions of dollars. We were talking about this a little bit off air earlier, and there is a staggering statistics, like over 80% of boats that are over $100,000 are registered out of state. And I think Representative Brewer said he saw an even bigger number at the Charleston Boat Show recently.
Yeah, I was at the Charleston Boat Show, and a dealer brought up to me a sheet, and they had 100 of the past sales that they had from that show and just previously, and 98 of the boats were registered out of state by South Carolina citizens. That's a big problem.
So we're looking right now at the fact that South Carolina citizens, when they are buying a boat now, they recognize the tax burden that they're going to be carrying, so they just carry the boat across the state line to a neighboring county where they're going to be paying a third, a half of what they're paying now?
Yeah, yep. That's essentially right. You know, a lot of people, I'll give you an example. I own property in Georgetown and Horry County. It's cheaper for me to buy a lot, like a residential building lot in North Carolina, than it is for me to register my boat in Horry or Georgetown County, especially Georgetown County.
That's right.
It is cheaper for me to buy a piece of land in North Carolina and to register my boat there than it is for me to register my boat in Georgetown County.
So how does this impact the average person? I mean, you talk about the folks who are in your district. Give a little description about where the district is and why this is so important.
Yeah, so I'm District 114, which is down in Charleston and Dorchester counties. I'm along the Ashley River, near the Charleston Harbor. And I tell you, the majority of the people that own boats in my area, that own boats in general, are using these boats not as luxury items like the counties want to tell you they are. They're using these boats to be able to spend time with their families. These are their vacation time. These are their weekends with their kids. This is the time that they get to spend with their family, and yet we decide to tax them at 10.5%. And going back a little bit to what Senator Goldfinch said, you know, the counties showed up very, very vehemently about, you know, this is money that we need. We've got to keep. We need to keep this money in here. If we don't, we're going to have to tax other people. What they have not figured out is that's not their money. This is the taxpayers' money, and it's not incumbent upon them to keep the counties to keep money. It's incumbent upon them to release the burden from the taxpayer.
Going back, Senator, to a point that you made earlier, when you do that, the fundamental economic argument here is what?
No, look, you reduce taxes, and the incentive to come back to South Carolina is great. It's a pain to register your boat out of state. You got to either, in most states, you've either got to buy land or already have a home, or, you know, register a company, register an LLC. I mean, you got to go through a process, which brings up a great point. Your question brings up a great point. It's usually the wealthy guys, the guys that own big boats, that have the ability to go out and do that. It's the guys that are owning the small stuff below $100,000 that are really taking the heat here, because they don't have the ability to hire an attorney, to start an LLC, to register an LLC in Delaware. They don't do that. They don't have the ability to go to North Carolina or Georgia and buy a piece of land. They don't have the ability to do any of those things. They own a $50,000 center console or a $30,000 John boat, and they're getting raked over the coals because they can't go out of state and do something. The boating in South Carolina, especially where Representative Brewer and I live, This isn't just a wealthy man's game. This is like life for us.
It's a way of life.
But this isn't just a coastal issue, though.
No,
is it?
it's absolutely not. Every single county in South Carolina has registered boats in it, including, if you think about it, some of the counties in South Carolina have very big bodies of water. Lake Marion, Lake Moultrie, Lake Wateree, Lake Kiowee, Lake Hartwell. All of these counties have big bodies of water, and they have a tremendous number of boats that are registered, and they are all going to be impacted in a positive way. Every citizen in South Carolina will be impacted in a positive way if we can just get our heads wrapped around the fundamental economics, which is reduce the taxes, and eventually it'll raise revenue in those counties.
I agree.
So when you look at this from the standpoint of how do you make these changes, both of you have bills, both of them are kind of stuck right now in committee, for lack of a better thing. What are the things that need to be done then to move this forward, keeping in mind the fact that boating and fishing in South Carolina is more than a $6.5 billion industry?
Right. Well, we have to reach out to, we got to get people to reach out to their representatives, reach out to their senators, tell them this is something they want heard, this is something they want passed. And I tell you, I know Senator Goldfinch well enough to know that lobbyists don't affect what we do. The people that vote for us, the people that we represent, that's who affects what we do. That's who's going to turn ahead. And if you get in touch with your representative, you get in touch with your senator and you tell them, hey, we want this bill heard, we want this passed out of the committee, we want this on the floor, it'll happen.
I'll tell you one more thing too. Reach out to your county council member and tell them you don't want the state doing this. You want the county council member to do it.
Absolutely.
You want county to go about it, do it themselves. If the counties don't want the state to do it themselves. They have the ability to reduce their own taxes.
So both of your bills address that particular issue and basically tell the counties you have to reduce these taxes to take the burden off of folks. When you hear the county pushback, what's your response on that?
You're living outside your means. And at the end of the day, this is not your money. This is the taxpayers' money. And that's the easiest way for them to understand that is it's not their money.
So let's talk about one other issue, and you brought this up earlier. It is not just the fact that boat taxes, Senator, are higher, 3 times higher than neighboring counties and neighboring states, but these boats are also getting double taxed, triple taxed in some situations. How's that working?
Absolutely. You get taxed on the boat, you get taxed on the motors, and you get taxed in many cases on the trailer, depending on the county. But you're not supposed to be taxed on the trailer at all. And then you get taxed on the package, just like it comes off the dealer or out of the manufacturer, the boat and the trailer and the motor. Okay, so it is a double taxation. You absolutely are getting taxed on that motor, and you're absolutely getting taxed on the package. That's double taxation. It should not be going on in South Carolina. The days of double taxation have to be over in South Carolina. That is unacceptable to me. I know it's unacceptable to Representative Brewer. It should be unacceptable to everybody.
So let's just talk some inside baseball brass tacks. Are there things that are also happening in your chambers that are keeping this from moving forward, or is this something that the public simply needs to begin to express their feelings on this so that it can be addressed?
Hey, we can always find a reason not to do something, right? At the end of the day, that's not an excuse. You can always find a reason not to do something. We need people to help push us so we can get this done.
Yeah, I think your question's a good one. There is substantial lobbying effort against this bill. There's no doubt about it. And so it's just easier, as Representative Brewer said, it's just easier not to do anything for many senators and House members. But that's not a good excuse not to do it.
So we talk about the pushback that's coming from the counties. Are you getting pushback from anywhere else?
No.
No.
There's not a citizen, I've not heard one citizen say, I'd love for my taxes to be double or triple what they are. I've never heard such a crazy thing. No, they want their taxes lower. Of course they do, and they should. They deserve it.
You know, it's frustrating too is the counties will say that this takes away money from schools. But what they don't understand is if we're selling more boats, we're producing more boats, which means our manufacturers have to add on to what they've got, which means that the money that they invest back into manufacturing, that goes to our schools.
And so let's talk about manufacturing real quick, because in both of your areas in the low country of South Carolina, you've got dozens of boat manufacturers. Those are good, high-paying, high-tech jobs in many cases. When you look at the growth of those companies, you've both walked through the boat plants before. You've both seen what they do. What does this do to an economy that says to folks who may go, well, do I want to get into this? Do I not want to get into this? When you have a state that is basically taxing itself to a place of minimal growth and effort.
We give incentives all the time to manufacturing facilities to show up in our state, to come locate in our state. This industry is not asking for incentives. This industry is asking, just give us a fair playing field and we'll build more boats and we'll add on to our manufacturing facilities.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right. You tax what you want less of. I mean, that's the bottom line. You tax what you want less of. South Carolina, do you want less boat manufacturing? Do you want less jobs? Do you want more taxes? Do you want less? You want more boats going out of state? You want more boats staying in state? You tax what you want less of, and right now the counties are taxing a lot more than they should be.
So let's put this exactly where it is at the moment. Where is your bill? What's your bill number, and where is it right now?
So I'm House Bill 3858, and we are waiting for a subcommittee hearing in Ways and Means, which we should have hopefully the week after next.
Okay.
I think it's S318. I've got about 30 bills out there right now, but I think it's S318. It's in the subcommittee. It's had one subcommittee hearing. All we have to do now is go to full committee if we can get it out of subcommittee. It has not yet taken a vote in subcommittee.
So you're going to have another subcommittee hearing on that to at least bring it to a vote.
Well, theoretically in the Senate we can do whatever we want to do.
You do have specific rules. There are specific rules in the Senate that do allow you to do a few things.
Yeah, but in practice usually you have a subcommittee hearing with a vote that sends it to the committee, yeah.
Okay. Senator Stephen Goldfrench, Representative Gary Brewer, thanks guys for taking the time to come in to talk about this, to help you understand better what needs to be done to address the issue of high taxation in the state of South Carolina. We'll have more on this as it continues to move forward, because we're always trying to keep you connected to the Capitol. Thanks for watching.